Daniel, I don't think I've ever seen a home draw celebrated quite like that, but that wasn't really the story, was it? What a night.
Yes, of course, feels a bit like a win after such a weak third game against such a strong opponent within 7 days. And the story of the game, more or less like a really good first half, competitive, didn't give any chance away. Would say perhaps very similar to the Chelsea game, but then in possession we were running out of energy a little bit. You could feel this, so sadly we assisted them 2 times before their goals. They went 2-0 up, but everyone thought, okay, that's it, so no chance today. But my lads have this never say die attitude, and whatever is thrown at them in terms of adversity or difficulties, and they always find the answer to have the solution anyhow. And also today, and then to come back 2 times to equalize this game, and then a bit over emotional. We stepped out of our deep block a bit over emotionally. We were punished for this, but then to have again the answer to equalize. Yes, important point. Of course, it was just a point, but the lads should be so proud of this, and it feels even better than just a point.
I saw your frustration down on the touchline when Liverpool got the 3rd goal, because you'd worked so hard, the players had worked so hard to get back in the game, and then I could see you saying, we've got to see this one through. We've got to take something from the situation.
It's always so difficult once you change during the game, the base formation, and you want to play then a different way. Before we played with 2 strikers, later on then with 2 wingers. Before we had no wingers on the pitch, wanted to press differently, wanted to play in different areas. But what is relatively simple is more or less against the ball. We have either a 5-3-2 or in this formation a 4-5-1 against the ball, and we can't step out of the center. So I think it was who was a bit over emotional in this game. Stepped out, opened the gap. A world-class side uses with 2 passes, find the ball in between lines, and then they could play the decisive through pass, and went up unnecessary to open the center in the 82nd minute after you have worked so hard to come back from being 2-0 down. But again, so this is also a bit like who we are. Sometimes we are a bit. Also the team a bit too passionate and not perfect and a bit naive, and where there was a mistake, but then to show again this resilience that no, we are still not beaten. We find again the answer and equalize this game again against the reigning champion. Was second to none, and also our then was a decisive goal. So overall, great game and great night for everyone who's connected with Leeds United.
Yeah, and the fans, that 12th man description that the fans had, they played that role this evening, didn't they?
Yes, atmosphere was again second to none. When this ground is rocking, it's a place like nowhere else in world football, and to see the scenes and what it means. So it's really a privilege, and I'm really humble and gratitude to be allowed to play a little part also in order to make them happy and also to enjoy nights like this. So we'll probably go down as one of the classics as well tonight, because the story is unbelievable, and the lads can take so much confidence, and our supporters should be proud of themselves as well, and definitely allowed to celebrate this weekend, and also to have 1 beer or perhaps also 2 tonight. I'm looking forward, like always, cake and coffee. It's
been a decent week, hasn't it, all told?
Yes, of course. So performance-wise, outstanding. Point-wise, 4 important points. Yes, I would be just completely happy with 9 points, but realistically, you have to say, especially the 4 points out of the last 2 games and the performance against Man City, lots to take out of these games. Not just the points, but also confidence and belief. And yes, an important week for us, definitely.
Okay, Dom, where do we start with that one? What a night.
What a night. What a night. And just when you think, Wednesday night was probably my favourite night at Ellen Road, I think this is well up there as well. I think in the context of how we got ourselves back in the game, and then just feeling the way that the fans flipped, and it was a special night.
I've never seen a home draw celebrated in quite the manner this one was this evening. It was a bit different, wasn't it?
It was a bit different, and it's kind of like, it's obviously 2-0 down and then 3-2 down, and then to come away with a point so late on. We have to be proud of ourselves in the way we kind of stuck in the game, and I think in previous games in the season we've let games slip, we've let teams back in and in crucial moments, and I kept saying, you've got to turn them nearlies into your favour, and tonight we did that.
I think it's incredible that we came back as we did after a couple of mistakes here and there, but you gave something to the crowd, but there's no doubt the crowd has given a lot to you guys as well.
Yeah, it was a special atmosphere. It was loud, and you could feel the shift And I think in moments like that, you need that, and it really does change the dynamic of the game. And I think it's a give and take, isn't it? You know, we give a bit, the crowd give a bit, and we're all working simultaneously to kind of, you know, get a point or win the game.
Across the course of a week that started with Manchester City away, then went through Chelsea and then ends up with Liverpool, it's been a good week, hasn't it?
It has. I think 7 days ago we were looking at a very, very difficult week against some tough opposition, and we knew what we were up against. And I think we set the tone in the second half of the Man City game, and that gives us a lot of confidence to know that we can compete against the very best. And then just continued that into midweek. And I said at the start of the week it was going to be a pivotal week for us. I think mentally, because it's worked in the way in which I hoped it would, which it's kind of put some question marks to bed, and we've answered a lot of questions this week against tough opposition, so we have to be happy with that.
Goals going in now as well, Dom?
Yeah, it's always a good feeling. Always a good feeling.
Those strikers, I tell you. Keep
All
it up,
greedy.
mate. Keep it up.
Nice
Brilliant.
one.
Welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into that absolutely wild 3-3 draw between Leeds United and Liverpool.
What a match.
Right. And our mission here is to really break down why that single point felt, and I'm quoting the coach here, even better than just a point.
Well, the context is everything, you know.
Yeah.
You have to remember, this match came at the end of a just brutal 7-day stretch.
Man City and Chelsea before that.
Exactly. And what's so fascinating from the sources is that the confidence, the belief that they could compete against the very best, it really started building in the second half of that Man City game.
So they were already answering some of those big mental question marks before this match even started.
Precisely. They were learning how to survive.
And survival really is the key word here. I mean,
Yeah.
This game was an emotional roller coaster. They go 2-0 down so early.
You think it's over.
You really do. And then they're 3-2 down later on, and somehow they find the resilience to equalize twice.
The coach really nailed it. He said they had this never say die attitude, and you could just feel it. They were always looking for an answer.
But that attitude, that passion, it came with a price, didn't it?
It did. And this is the flaw, the learning moment. The coach mentioned they could be a bit too passionate, a bit, naive.
And you see that perfectly with the third goal they conceded.
Oh, it's a textbook example.
Yeah.
Look, when you're in a deep block, a 5-3-2 or a 4-5-1, your entire job is to clog those central lanes.
Mm-hmm.
But around the 80th minute, they stepped over emotionally. One or two players pushed out of that shape.
And that's all it takes.
That's it. It opens up that tiny gap in the center, and a world-class team like Liverpool. 2 passes, and it's tactical suicide.
A moment of immaturity that almost cost them everything. So that's the coach's take, but what about the players?
Right.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a slightly different focus. For him, the big shift was their new ability to just stick in the game.
Which they hadn't been doing.
No. He said in the past they would let games slip. But here, they turned what he called nearies, those near misses, into their favor. That's a huge mental step forward, isn't it?
It is, and I don't think you can separate that from the atmosphere in the stadium. You just can't.
The 12th man.
The ultimate 12th man. I mean, multiple sources say a home draw has rarely, if ever, been celebrated like that. The atmosphere was second to none.
So the fans literally fueled that resilience we were talking about.
They absolutely did. They kept that passion from boiling over into naivete and channeled it right to the end. It made the whole thing feel like a special night.
So if you look at the whole week, what's the final tally? They took 4 crucial points from those last 2 games.
Which is an incredible return.
The coach even joked he'd have preferred 9 points from the week, but then he admitted this performance was outstanding.
So it's clear. This was never just about 1 point on the league table.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you connect all these dots, the bigger picture emerges. This result was foundational. The team proved to themselves they could handle the pressure.
That they could recover from their own mistakes, their own naivete even.
And use that incredible fan support to grab a result against, let's be honest, one of the best teams in the world. The coach said the story of the game was unbelievable.
So the real currency they gained wasn't the point, it was the knowledge.
Precisely. And that leaves us with a really provocative thought for you to consider. When is the acquisition of that kind of confidence, that knowledge answering those big mental questions, actually more valuable for long-term growth than the immediate reward of, say, all 3 points? Something to think about.